Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and these scooters aren't just for getting around. They're your ticket to freedom. With speeds up to 6 miles per hour, you'll own the road like never before. From graduation to concerts and vacations, our power scooters will get you there in style and ease. Don't wait another minute. The time to ride is now. Let's start your adventure today. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Do you enjoy fishing, hunting, or just soaking in the beautiful outdoors? Then you need to check out the KSL Outdoors Show, airing Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and midnight on KSL 5 TV. Outdoors with Me, Adam Eagle, is a unique show that takes viewers on a journey through Utah's beautiful backcountry. Watch it live every weekend or find the Outdoor Show on YouTube, KSLOutdoors.com, Facebook, and Instagram. It's the KSL Outdoors Show, brought to you by Camp Chef.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
Normal KSL travel times north and southbound I-15, and that's between Ogden and Provo, clear on the rest of your Salt Lake County freeways. Get Mr. Mac's Performance Missionary Package. It includes 1 performance suit, 4 and collar stretch shirts, 3 ties, 1 mission belt, 1 pair of Echo or Johnston & Murphy shoes, just $595. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our KSL weather, cloudy skies with a chance of showers today and tomorrow. Rain and snow will be a little more likely on Thursday, but even then we won't see a lot of it. 45 degrees, partly cloudy right now. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio. Utah's Super Tuesday Caucus. Special coverage on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
Well, here we go. It is Super Tuesday and Caucus Day here in the state of Utah. And we're going to go wall-to-wall here for the first hour of the program, digging into what's happening on the national level, what's happening on the local level, what your job is today as a citizen and as a voter. And so let's start with the big picture. Let's begin.
Think you know the news of the day? Think again with Boyd Matheson on KSL News Radio.
Well, here we go. We are on our way into Super Tuesday, and we're going to start with a higher level, get some perspective in terms of what's actually going on and what it all means. And beyond just the typical headline stuff, we want to look at the trail that we've been on that leads to Super Tuesday and then what comes next. Nobody better to do that with than Samuel Benson, of course, national political correspondent at the Deseret News, been covering the 2024 presidential election. And Samuel, welcome back to the show, and happy Super Tuesday to you.
Happy Super Tuesday to you as well, Boyd. Thanks for having me.
I know it's a chance. It's almost a chance for a little exhale before everything starts happening later today. It's almost like the calm before the storm, just a little bit. But I want to start because you've been on the trail. You've been in Iowa. You've been in New Hampshire. You've been to the different places. You've followed things at the high level there. Give us some initial perceptions in terms of where we've been and where that positions us today on Super Tuesday.
Sure. Yeah, I started on the trail in August, so it's been 6 or 7 months now. And if you would have told me, given me a glimpse of what Super Tuesday would look like in August, before the Iowa State Fair and the first debate, and we would have seen that it's only 2 candidates left, that Trump has this massive lead in a lot of the polls, that Biden's running unopposed. And I think a lot of people would have felt pretty dissatisfied, almost like an anticlimactic finish to what has been on many fronts a fairly competitive and interesting primary election. That said, the last 3 months haven't been so. And so you have on the Republican side Donald Trump, who's trying to win over 15 more states today. You have Nikki Haley, who's doing all she can to build off the momentum she got by winning the Washington, D.C. primary on Sunday. And on the Democratic side, you have Joe Biden doing all he can to show that he's capable, that he's able to win in November, and avoiding embarrassments like he received last week in Michigan, where 100,000 Democrats voted uncommitted on the ballot. So those are kind of the two main storylines. There's obviously a lot more beyond that. On the surface level, it can look kind of underwhelming, but I think as we get into it, it goes beyond the headlines.
Yeah, one of the things that I've been dying to ask you today, Samuel, just as I've been thinking through the day myself, is it's one thing to win a primary in the spring. It's a very different thing to win a general election in the fall. And you sort of have Nikki Haley, who's in this interesting conundrum that she's probably a better general election candidate than she is a Republican primary candidate. And then you have the flip of that. You have President Biden and former President Trump, who are, of course, waltzing their way towards the nominations in the spring, but both of them really have some pretty fatal flaws they're going to have to deal with to actually win when it matters in the fall.
I think you're spot on, Boyd. That's the pitch that Haley's been making now for several months. She made it in Utah last week. I followed her through North Carolina and Virginia and Massachusetts last weekend, and she made the same pitch everywhere, where she said, if you look at these November general election polls that show a hypothetical rematch between Biden and Trump, Biden is winning, or they're within the margin of error in most of those. Of course, now Trump is ahead in some of those, but for the most part, it's within the margin of error. It's a statistical tie. Whereas if you insert Haley into that race, so it's Haley Biden, she has a double-digit lead in a lot of those, up by 12 points, 13 points. I mean, in Virginia, which a Republican hasn't won in years, she's up by 9 points, according to this Roanoke College poll from last week. So that's the pitch she's making. That doesn't translate to the primary, though. Of course, Trump is up by nearly 70 percentage points nationally. Then you look across the Super Tuesday states, and it's 40 points, 50 points. That said, we don't have great polling in a lot of these states. Yeah. It's hard to know, but we've seen so far that it's a tough sell for anyone but Trump to win. The question, of course, Boyd, and this has to have an asterisk, because I think Haley does have a point, that she probably is a stronger November candidate against Joe Biden in November. But that's assuming that the election is tomorrow. I mean, say she does win the primary, hypothetically, and it's Biden and Haley. We get this clarity in June or July, and there's 4 or 5 months to campaign. All of a sudden, the Democrats, who in many cases have kind of been supporting Haley or pushing her as a bulwark against Trump, are going to be doing all they can to go against her abortion record, to go against her record with trade in South Carolina, to go against her stances on different social issues. And she's going to be a different candidate to a lot of these independent or left-leaning voters that maybe are favorable to her now because she's against Trump than she would be against Biden in November.
Yeah.
That's important to consider as well when we talk about these polls.
Yeah, absolutely. So important there. And I want to bring in one last factor before I let you go, Sam, and that is that you've got these swing states. It used to be swing states where there were like 19 swing states. We're down to basically 6 to 8 swing states. And in all of these, a third-party candidate could have an interesting play. Of course, we saw in Michigan last week, you had 100,000 voters there, say, uncommitted on the Democratic side with the current president. You have a host of those that would not vote for the former president either. And so then the question becomes, do those Republicans stay home? Do those Democrats stay home? Or do they go to a third party? How are you seeing the dynamics there as we start to look at the contours of a general election race where third-party candidates could actually have an impact?
Yeah, that's the question. I had an interesting conversation last week with Robert Schwartz, who's running this super PAC called Primary Pivot. In New Hampshire and South Carolina, their job was to turn out as many Democrats and independents for Haley in the Republican primary as they could. Then after she lost both of those states, they decided they were going to pivot and just focus on Georgia and Pennsylvania, 2 swing states. And they were going to do the opposite. They were going to take all the left-leaning voters who maybe were open to Haley and get them to turn out for Biden, because they thought if they're disillusioned with Biden, they're disillusioned with Trump, they'll maybe vote third party. And his thought as a progressive is that would hurt Biden more. So you do have to go to the calculus here. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy in a lot of polls voters from Trump. Cornel West pulls a lot of voters from Biden because he's going on this kind of pro-Palestine platform where a lot of left-leaning progressives are disillusioned with Biden's stance on Israel. So I don't think this is the year that we see a no-labels candidate or an independent win in November, but we could certainly see them influence the election, whether they're polling polling votes from the Republican candidate or the Democrat. A lot of that depends who the candidate is, and all of this has an asterisk as well, because these candidates, unless they're part of the party, have to get on the ballot in every individual state, and every state has different rules. So we're talking speculation here 8 months before the election, but I certainly think, Boyd, that we could see an independent sway the election in one way or another if they may not win it.
Yeah, fascinating stuff, and we'll continue to watch all of those contours. We'll continue to follow Samuel Benson as he tracks the national road to the White House for 2024, the presidential election cycle for Deseret News. And Samuel, as always, we appreciate your perspective, for pounding the pavement and racking up the miles and giving us a little behind-the-scenes look for everything that's going on in a real crucial election year. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Boyd.
All right, that's Samuel Benson again from the Deseret News. And some of those things that Samuel pointed out there at the end, the contours of this get so interesting and so complicated, including this whole idea of how difficult it is to get on the ballot. Ballot access is a big deal. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been making the case that it should not cost so much. It shouldn't require so many legal fees and hurdles to jump through, that this two-headed monopoly of the big two parties needs to change. That will be an interesting factor in the conversation. And we're going to stay with all the Tuesday conversations, Super Tuesday, here on KSL News Radio throughout the day and into the evening tonight. We'll have special coverage on KSL News Radio. Stay with us. When we come back, we're actually going to pick up in a crucial conversation on why voting alone is not enough. We all have a little bit more duty. We'll talk about that coming up next. Stick around.
Think again on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
Hey everyone, it's Joe Montana. Spreading the word about pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can be life-threatening. If you're 65 or older like me, you're at increased risk. So, what's the game plan? A strong defense. Pneumococcal pneumonia can strike at any time in any season, so you shouldn't wait to help protect yourself. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination today and learn more at knowpneumonia.com. That's KNOW pneumonia.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 4/6. Visit staples.com/print for details.
Today's vote may seal the race for president.
The two major parties in Utah are taking opposite approaches.
Democrats will have a primary election.
United Utah Party and American Independent Party will also be having their caucuses.
It all begins by showing up. Caucus night is the opportunity to do that.
Super Tuesday. 16 states and territories vote, and more than 1,000 delegates are awarded. Listen for special coverage today. Plus, get analysis and reaction all day tomorrow. Utah's Super Tuesday Caucus on KSL News Radio.
Going to a Jazz game is more fun together. Host an unforgettable night at Delta Center with colleagues, friends, families, whoever. Group tickets are the best way to get everyone together to cheer on the Jazz. Pick from a variety of options for seating, dining, and game day experiences. Start planning your big night at the game by calling 801-355-DUMP, emailing group sales at utahjazz.com, or simply visiting utahjazz.com/tickets.
This Monday Tax Tip is brought to you by Susan Spears, CEO of the Utah Association of CPAs.
Did you know that you may be missing out on important deductions and credits if you don't correctly claim your dependents on your income taxes? Remember to provide Social Security numbers for your children or other dependents. If you are divorced, only one parent may claim the child as a dependent. If you both claim the same child as a dependent, the processing of your return will come to a screeching halt while the IRS works with the parties to straighten things out. Work with your CPA to streamline the process.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a CPA. Go to uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. That's uacpa.org. uacpa.org. Listen to KSL on Monday for more tax tips from the Utah Association of CPAs.
Transform your old, outdated kitchen with Half Price Granite. For a limited time, Half Price Granite is offering special pricing starting at $25 per square foot installed. That's lower than most big box stores. These prices are some of the lowest around. Granite, quartz, marble, and quartzite, all starting at $25 per square foot installed. Call 801-486-1700 or visit halfpricegranite.com. Half Price Granite, affordable luxury.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit AnyHourServices.com.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You may not be interested in everything we talk about, but I guarantee you listen for 3 hours, we're going to hit several things.
Everything from politics to how the economy is impacting your family's pocketbook.
Listen for Dave and Dujanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, Republicans have been getting all the attention in the Super Tuesday primaries and caucuses, but Democrats are running their own presidential primary today in Utah. Second, Senator Kristen Sinema says she will not be running for re-election in Arizona. And third, a factory that makes vape pens caught fire in Michigan last night. One person there killed by falling debris. Right now, 45 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Boyd Matheson divides rage from reason on Inside Sources. Utah's Super Tuesday Caucus. Special coverage on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
Of course, we will be covering everything happening Super Tuesday today here on KSL News Radio. Primary caucus night here in the state of Utah. We'll break that down coming up in just a little bit, as well as what's going on nationally, particularly as it relates to the presidential nomination process for both the Democrats and the Republicans. But as we often talk about on this show, that's not it, and that's not all. It's not enough to just cast a ballot. Brilliant piece at Deseret.com by James Phillips, who's the director of the Constitutional Government Initiative and an associate professor at Brigham Young University's Wheatley Institute. And our friends down at Wheatley are always doing sharp thinking. And this is a great piece, and we're really thrilled to have James Phillips join us on the line. James, welcome to the show.
Great. Thanks for having me, Boyd.
So let's break this down. I loved the framing for your piece at Deseret.com, talking about that voting is not the only duty of citizenship. Tell us why.
Well, our Constitution wasn't really designed just for us to just be voters. I mean, we are the sovereign of our nation. It's we the people. And we have to do more than just cast a vote. It's a very important thing because we exercise our sovereign authority through elected officials. But if all we do is vote, we're probably the Republic's in trouble. Got to do more than that.
Yeah, that's right. And so let's go through some of the things that we need to do in order to really lean into the totality of our duty. And I think that's an important way for us to think about it, because as you said, if we're just skimming across the surface and casting a vote every couple of years, we're really missing the boat, and we're not likely to keep this constitutional republic rolling along. So what are some of the things that we should be doing or making sure we're doing to really do our complete duty as we the people?
Well, one of the things that the framers of the Constitution were concerned about was that we would be sufficiently informed. that we would be informed citizens. And that's partially being informed in our voting. We have to cast informed votes, not just kind of knee-jerk votes based off of emotion or some kind of tribal identity, but having really studied the candidates and the issues and not just their policy positions, but also their character, because who they are is going to last, through their time in office, whereas their policy positions may change. So being informed is really important, and not just for voting, but we have to have a certain constitutional literacy in order for our constitutional republic to work. Just like you have to have a certain literacy in English in order to be successful to a certain degree in this country as well. And our republic requires the same. So understanding some of the core principles of our Constitution, which is so much more than Schoolhouse Rock, right? How a bill becomes a law.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, and I think it's important too as we go through, and we do have to understand Schoolhouse Rock, and then we have to go beyond Schoolhouse Rock to really lean into that a little bit more. And I think one of the other things that you pointed out in your piece that I think is really vital for all of us to understand is that when we come together in this as a we the people. It's everything. It's not just understanding the current events. It's not just understanding, what's popping up in our social media feed. There's an important connection to history and remembering that is also an important part of this process.
Yeah, history gives us context. It really helps us understand our own time, to understand what people have experienced in other times. And it helps connect us to them. It helps us learn from them, both the good and the bad, right? We don't ignore the bad, but we don't ignore the good either. And so having at least a basic understanding of our history is, I think, very important.
Yeah, it's warts and all, but not just warts, right? You got to have a balance there.
Yep.
I wanted to go back to something you said. It sparked my thinking when we talk about knowing the candidates and their character, not just their policy positions or their their little slick slogans. Excuse me, but there's also this element that I wish we would do more in our debates and in our vetting of candidates, and that's getting an understanding of their core principles and how they approach problems. Because as you said, their policy positions may change over time, but if you learn how someone really thinks and how they approach issues, I think that's probably the more telling thing. If you were interviewing someone for a leadership position in your company, you probably wouldn't do that just on what slogans they were able to rattle off in 30 seconds or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior in a similar scenario, or at least as close a scenario as you can find. So how have they acted in previous official positions? How have they acted in their private life, to the extent that we know about that? Or how have they run their business, or whatever it may be? People tend to not change a whole lot. And so, people shouldn't be surprised if in office, people are pretty similar to the way that they had been the rest of their life in other areas of responsibility and importance.
Yeah. One of the other things that you pointed out that we talk about often on this program is this whole idea of independence, the idea of federalism, and what needs to be done at the local and state level as opposed to the federal level. Give us some context there in terms of why that's an important thing for us to keep in mind today.
Well, federalism is one of the brilliant parts of our Constitution. It recognized that while there are some things that need to be handled at a national level, like defense or making sure the economy is functioning, most things are better off decided closer to the people, and allowing for some variety. And we have a tendency, I think, in our society to focus on national politics, and kind of overlook what's going on locally and also at the state level. And yet, that's where generally we can have the biggest impact and do the most good. And we should probably have much more focus on what's going on around us locally and the state level, and spend a little bit less time on the national, where we're going to, be able to have less of an influence.
Yeah, no question about it. Great piece at Deseret.com. You can check that out today. James Phillips, again, is the director of the Constitutional Government Initiative and an associate professor at Brigham Young University's Wheatley Institute. And thank you so much for joining us today. Great piece, perfect framing for what we all should be thinking about on a Super Tuesday here in the state of Utah. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Boyd. Thanks for having me.
Again, that's James Phillips, director of the Constitutional Government Initiative, part of the Wheatley Institute down there at Brigham Young University. And I just loved a lot of the framing that James had within that piece in terms of, there's more to being a responsible citizen than just voting. Voting's critical. Voting's crucial. Make sure you do that today. We'll talk about it as we go throughout the afternoon and into our evening coverage here at KSL News Radio. As we look at everything wall to wall, from right down to the local level all the way up to the national Super Tuesday results. We'll be breaking all of that down for you. So you are in the right spot where we've got you covered for Super Tuesday here in the state of Utah and beyond. But then make sure you look in the mirror today and make sure you go show up at a caucus night. Go cast a vote in the presidential preference poll. If you're on the Republican side, you can cast your primary ballot at polling locations on the Democratic side. Some of the other political parties in the state are also caucusing tonight. Check them out and be informed, and not just surface stuff, not just talking point stuff. Dig in, find out about the character of the candidates, find out about how they have performed in other positions and how they approach difficult situations. What is their process? What is their philosophy? How do they pull people together to solve big problems and accomplish big results? To me, if we get to the better questions, we'll get to the better candidates, we'll get the better people in elected office, and we'll get better results for the country and for our community right here at home. All right, we'll go ahead and step aside for some bottom-of-the-hour news. Stay with us. Much, much more to come on a very big Super Tuesday on KSL News Radio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. The Utah legislature has signed off on a program that would give up to $20,000 bonuses to the top-performing 25% of Utah's teachers.
This is entirely paid for by the state legislature through an account that's called the Education Stabilization Fund. It's state income tax dollars.
The bill's sponsor, Senator Lincoln Fillmore, tells Dave and Dujanovic this is meant to entice teachers to perform well and stay in their chosen profession because they can earn more. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Factory in Michigan with 100,000 vape pens along with nitrous oxide and lighter fluid caught fire and exploded last night. Tim Duncan is the fire chief in Clinton Township.
In my 25 years, I've been on a few big fires. This, by far, was the biggest one that I've ever seen.
Butane cartridges shot into the air from the explosion like missiles, and one person was killed when he was hit by a falling cartridge. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average strongly down today, 525 points right now. The NASDAQ is down 340. And our KSL weather, cloudy with a chance of rain. That's next. KSL News Time, 1:30.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Ah, winter, with its cold, dry air causing that not-so-nice winter nose feeling. Thankfully, you don't have to wait for warmer weather to clear sinus congestion and send winter nose packing. All you need is Navage Nasal Care. Navage helps soothe the inflamed nasal passages that are often part of colds and infections. It flushes a pure, refreshing saline solution through your sinuses to give you the soothing moisture you need. Navage also sucks out the other irritants trapped in your nose, viruses, dust, bacteria, and germs too. Winter might feel like it drags on forever, but Navage works quickly, helping you breathe more clearly in just 30 seconds. No decongestants required. Navage is a drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Get Navage today and make winter a little more bearable. Navage is available online at Navage.com or in stores at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, and Target. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
They say it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. You may not have that kind of time for weatherization, energy efficiency, and appliance rebates, but we do. Dominion Energy's ThermWise program has experts who know where and how to save money. They help homeowners and businesses find simple ways to conserve natural gas and rebates through upgrades that may help to save even more. We put our energy into helping you conserve it, so you can spend your 10,000 hours becoming an expert in what matters to you. Start with a home energy plan at thermwise.com.
Good morning. I'm the 40% off window company.
40% off? Of what?
Hey, 40% off!
Yeah, I'll bet it's your biggest sale of the year. This week only, because you need a model home in our neighborhood. Well, nothing. It's baloney. Hi, this is Kathy.
And Doug of Window World. When you hear those things, you know you've entered the baloney zone.
Resist the force of the baloney zone.
Find Window World online at windowworldutah.com.
Or call Window World at 281-8111. That's 281-8111.
And that's no baloney.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
Crews are on the scene of a vehicle fire in Utah County, northbound I-15 prior to 400 South Spanish Fork. Everybody out of traffic on the right shoulder, no delay. For a limited time, open a 12-month certificate from Cyprus Credit Union and get 5.25% APY. Learn more at any branch or visit cypruscu.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our KSL weather, cloudy skies with a chance of showers today and tomorrow. Rain and snow will be more likely on Thursday, but we won't see a lot of that. And right now, we're at 45 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
We have some breaking news into KSL News Radio today. It was just announced that responsibility and ownership for a number of sacred sites and historic documents will be transferred to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In a press release that just dropped moments ago, Tuesday, March the 5th, the responsibility and ownership for the Kirtland Temple, along with several historic buildings in Nauvoo, Illinois, various manuscripts and artifacts will officially be transferred from the Community of Christ to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is part of ongoing long discussions and association to make sure that many of these sacred texts and sacred sites are preserved. President Russell M. Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, said today that we are deeply honored to assume the stewardship of these sacred places, documents, and artifacts. President Nelson went on to thank the friends at Community of Christ for their great care and for their cooperation in preserving these historic treasures for such a long period. And President Nelson also commented that the Church of Jesus Christ is committed to doing the same. So the Kirtland Temple, again, will be under the stewardship of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it will remain, according to the release today, it will remain a historic building. It will be open for public tours, as it has been, at no charge. Likewise, in Nauvoo, Illinois, another important historic site for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Smith family homestead, the Mansion House, and the Red Brick Store will also be part of that, and they will be reopened on March 25th of 2024 for year-round public tours, also at no charge as well. So just some context there. If you're just tuning in, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has noted that they have taken over responsibility and ownership for the Kirtland Temple, several historic buildings in Nauvoo, Illinois, along with various manuscripts and artifacts that have been transferred from the Community of Christ to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Community of Christ, of course, is an international faith community dedicated to fostering authentic connections with one another and with God. It strives to restore Christ's peace on earth. That's been a major focus and thrust of that organization. And again, there's been much cooperation between the Community of Christ and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for a number of years, particularly in these historic places in Nauvoo, Illinois, and in Kirtland, Ohio. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of course, a worldwide faith headquartered here in Salt Lake City, Utah, is very pleased today to become that official steward, and I think that's a proper word for historic sites and artifacts that they will be responsible for moving forward. We'll have more details about this transaction and this new relationship, new responsibility and stewardship, ownership of sacred sites, historic documents. And again, if you're just tuning in, it was just announced that responsibility and ownership for the Kirtland Temple, for a number of the historic buildings in Nauvoo, Illinois, and various manuscripts and artifacts have been officially transferred from the Community of Christ to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We'll have more details on that transaction, what that means, and of course, I think the big thrust is that these will continue to be open to the public. These will be historic sites and sacred spaces, and will be open to the public. And we'll continue to break that down and get some comment and insights as we move along. Stay with us here on KSL News Radio as we continue to follow this developing and breaking story about some very important historic sites to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and what that will mean moving forward. Stay with us for more of that as we move forward on KSL News Radio.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, win tickets to comedian Jim Gaffigan on the Barely Alive Tour, Friday, October 25th at the Eccles Theater. Or win tickets to an upcoming Real Salt Lake match. Listen to the RSL game on KSLSports.com. Plus, win tickets to see Tim McGraw on his Standing Room Only Tour, April 5th at the Delta Center. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Joe Montana here. Back in my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia, a bacterial lung disease that can be life-threatening. If you're 65 or older, or 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like diabetes or asthma, you're at increased risk. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination and learn more at knowpneumonia.com. That's KNOW pneumonia.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
I just elevated my checking account with Utah Community Credit Union. Tim, I'm so blown away at what I get with my elevated checking account at UCCU. I get so many benefits. I get cell phone protection and roadside assistance. The one that blows me away the most is telehealth. I actually get zero copay telehealth with my checking account from UCCU.
Did you know you also get 0.25% loan discount? It's one of the many things. And if you like to travel or you're on the road quite a bit, a free ATM nationwide, 30,000 ATM locations that you can use while you're out.
Utah basketball star Walker Kessler and Utah Community Credit Union have come together to announce this brand new elevated checking account with more benefits, more savings, more online protections than ever before.
Yeah, there's even something for dark web monitoring, which I have never heard of before, but you can find out more by just going to uccu.com.
And open an elevated checking account online or stop by any branch.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
A happy place comes in many colors. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters, that's painting happy. During our spring sales event, special offers are available through April 30th. Schedule your home painting project today and bring happiness home. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
It already feels like home.
Looking for a secure retirement plan without market risk? Look no further. Lyle Boss, president of Boss Financial, specializes in no market risk retirement strategies with guarantees of principal, guaranteed growth, and lifelong income. Join Lyle right here each Saturday and Sunday for his Safe Money radio show and call him now at 855-355-SAFE for your complimentary customized Safe Money information kit and Safe Money book. Nothing but upside here at 855-355-SAFE.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
New home for the new year? Sounds nice, doesn't it? What about new lowered rates? Now's the time to step into a gorgeous new Nilsson home with less commute times, easy access, and with rates that have dropped more significantly than all year. Less really is more in this case. Less maintenance, less commute, and less money per month. Move north with Nilsson Homes. Choose from beautiful townhomes to Rambler communities for all stages of life. Most of all, Nilsson Homes are move-in ready and close to what you love and enjoy with easy commutes. Nilsson Homes has been building across the Wasatch Front for over 45 years, accommodating all the things you need, combined with the things you love. Make sure to ask about special savings. Experience your new home for the new year. Visit Nilsson Homes Communities at nilssonhomes.com. NILSON homes.com. That's nilssonhomes.com.
Two friends taking pictures of the rising full moon on a summer night.
Two teenage kids doing what teenage kids do.
When a stranger with a gun and a death wish changed everything.
It was violent, it was senseless, and I will never understand it. I will never accept it.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and unfortunately, we're all too familiar with stories about how violence shatters lives. But what we rarely see is how they are rebuilt. In a new podcast, The Letter, we relive tragedy, but only so we can hear the rest of the story. The struggle to reclaim lives, the realities of grief, and the possibilities of forgiveness.
I believe in miracles. Sometimes I thought, there are no miracles. Yeah, there are, and this is a big one.
Follow The Letter at theletterpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Jeff Kaplan. When I was a kid, my parents got me a subscription to Newsweek magazine. I would devour every page into the night. And to this day, I sit on my iPad looking for stories for my minute of news, flesh out our coverage, and I get to share the news with you.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Get deeper insights on the news from inside sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. If you're just tuning in, news broke just a few moments ago that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has obtained a number of significant historic properties, artifacts, and documents relating to the early history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I want to go through a few of the components that we know about this transaction and this stewardship of these sacred sites. That I think are really significant. Again, for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the transactions involve some important buildings in terms of the history of the church. I mentioned earlier the Kirtland Temple, of course, is one of those. But then also in Nauvoo, Illinois, there's a number of properties there. The Smith family homestead, the Mansion House, the Nauvoo House, and the Red Brick Store. Those are all significant in the early history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, along with some significant documents and artifacts that included manuscripts and the Bible used in the Joseph Smith translation of the Bible. Also included in this transfer today 7 letters from Joseph Smith to his wife Emma, John Whitmer's history of the church, original portraits of Joseph and Emma Smith, the cornerstone of the Nauvoo House, the original door of the Liberty Jail, and a document with the title of Characters, which may contain a sample of the inscription from the gold plates from which members believe that the Book of Mormon was translated from. So all of those were things that were acquired today by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints from the community of Christ. And the community of Christ, along with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, have had a great relationship over the years in maintaining stewardship of those sacred spaces. And so as you look at how this all came about today. It's always about relationships. It's always about getting to things that actually matter. And I think this is a good example of people who can have a different faith tradition with many similarities and lots of crossover, being able to work and move along and get to a point where they can continue to do what they think is important in their space. And I think that's what took place today in this transfer of the stewardship of these places over to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There has been previous transactions between these two organizations. Back in 2012, the Community of Christ sold to the Church of Jesus Christ several properties, including the site of the Hans Mill Massacre site, as well as the Joseph and Emma Smith home in Kirtland. So these two organizations have a history together of preserving sacred spaces and sacred things. Now, in terms of the transaction itself, the church paid $192.5 million without assigning specific values to each of the properties or the individual items. The important thing here, I think, is not the monetary, it's the meaning. Not the money, it's the meaning of all of these things. And history matters, and our sacred spaces matter across all faith traditions. And, of course, historically here in the United States of America, we understand the importance of space. And what happens in sacred spaces, I think, is significant. And I think that's what this announcement today is really all about, is preserving those. And both of these organizations have missions to perform. For the Community of Christ, they felt this was a good time to make this transaction and to make this transfer because it helps their mission in terms of what they view as being most important and most significant to their organization. I think that's significant. And, of course, for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it is also crucial for them in terms of preserving these. And that was indicative in the statements that were issued from both organizations, as this was announced just a few moments ago, that in this joint statement, both organizations, I think, were pleased with the way this came about and how it happened. I'll go back to a statement from President Russell M. Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who said, "We are deeply honored to assume the stewardship of these sacred places, documents, and artifacts. We thank our friends at Community of Christ for their great care and cooperation in preserving these historical treasures thus far. We are committed to doing the same." Well, we'll continue to follow this throughout the afternoon here on KSL News Radio. We've had a few people on the text line saying it is a Super Tuesday. It's a very important day, I think, for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and people who are concerned about the preservation of sacred spaces everywhere. I think this is an important day for that as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with more Inside Sources. The Lieutenant Governor's on the line. She's going to join us on Super Tuesday election-wise. We'll talk about that coming up next. Stick around.
Social Security is with you through life's journey from birth to retirement. As your life changes year to year, so do your needs. For over 80 years, Social Security has helped to meet your needs and is committed to improving access to the services that make a difference in your life. Today, you can verify your earnings, estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, manage your benefits, and even change your address, all from the comfort of your home. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Tim and Amanda.
Yes, KSL is a trusted institution. I mean, it's a 100-year-old institution, and I know that with that legacy comes a responsibility and a trust. But I want you to know, we have diverse voices at this radio station. Young people, we have people of all different ages, of all different cultural backgrounds, who put their 2 cents into what stories we cover from day to day, a voice that is given to those stories.
Well, I've been kicking around the Salt Lake City market for 40 years. I felt like I needed a decade of radio under my belt. before I even attempted to climb that mountain. So as important as KSL is to you, you need to know that it's an important institution for both of us and something that we take very seriously, in the responsibility of providing the right news and information for you and your families every day and carrying on the tradition of this great radio station.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings, or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-AL-ANON or go to alanon.org.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
Our goal every day on Inside Sources is to help you divide the rage from the reason, elevate the conversation, connect the dots, and make the news make sense in your world. We have conversations with great thinkers, with great leaders, and great people who are just out there making a difference in the world. Now, we do talk about politics, but only so we can discuss society and culture. And then we explore society and culture so we can discuss principles and the people in America and the state of Utah who actually live them and apply them every day. We bring the best and brightest minds to the state of Utah, and we love to take the Utah model and send it out to our nation's capital and beyond. Every day on Inside Sources, you'll be part of that conversation. To help you understand things in a different way, we'll get you to think again about what you think you know, but most important, we're going to help you have confidence to have crucial conversations in your community and in your own home.
Join Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, ownership of the Kirtland Temple in Ohio has been transferred to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, along with some other historic sites and artifacts. These had been owned by the Community of Christ, which was formerly known as the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Second, Utah is just one of 15 states holding primaries or caucuses on Super Tuesday. And third, a huge fire destroyed a factory that made vape pens in Michigan. Falling debris there killed one person. 45 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Hear elevated conversation on crucial issues. Boyd Matheson on Inside Sources. Utah's Super Tuesday Caucus. Special coverage on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
Well, it is a crazy Super Tuesday, as Super Tuesdays tend to be. A host of things going on nationally as well as in the state. And we're going to shift back to what's happening on the election front, especially as it relates to the Republican nominating process in the pursuit of the presidency. And joining us on the line is someone who knows her way around some election issues. The Lieutenant Governor of the state of Utah, Deidre Henderson, joins us on the line. And Lieutenant Governor, happy Super Tuesday to you.
Well, happy Super Tuesday to you too, Boyd. It's great to be with you.
We've been talking about a number of things as we've been going through the day in terms of how we look at candidates, not just what the bumper sticker slogans are, not just the things that are very partisan, but how they actually look to principle and how they actually make decisions. You were involved last week when one of those candidates on the Republican side, Nikki Haley, came through town. Give us a sense of what you took away in terms of principles and governing philosophy from her.
Well, Nikki Haley, I've long admired her. I thought she did a really great job as governor of South Carolina, as ambassador to the United Nations under Donald Trump. And last week when she had the opportunity to visit Utah, and I was able to spend a few minutes with her, visiting with her and listening to her, I came away with a sense that she is so principled. She's driven by principle, but she's driven by principle in a way that unites instead of divides, which is something that I really admire about her. I love the fact that she kind of has this opening her arms and enveloping people, enveloping voters. She's very conservative, but she also is not going to castigate anyone for their beliefs or for supporting different candidates.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important thing. Is one of the interesting things in my sit-down conversation with the former ambassador was when we talked about what makes all of this worth it, even if you don't get the result you want in the end. And I was struck by the fact she said, you know what, I'll take the slings and arrows, I'll take the cuts and jabs and punches as long as we can change the conversation in the country. Give us a sense as people are going to caucus night tonight. Again, Republicans will have this presidential preference poll. Man, say that 10 times real fast on a Tuesday. And Democrats, of course, are casting their ballots at polling locations today. What do you hope people think about as they take that opportunity to do one of those most sacred rights and duties we have in the country?
Well, first of all, I hope they actually go to caucus tonight. They're not going to have a voice or a say. We still have a choice. We still have a choice that isn't a general election choice. We still have a choice as to who we put on that general election ballot. Both major political parties do at this point. So people need to understand that and respect that and go to caucus and make sure their voice is heard. But second, I think it's really important for people to remember what they're reflecting in their choice and what their presidential nominee, what the candidate of their choice is reflecting back at the people. We reflect each other, candidates and people, and it's really important that we elect leaders who are reflecting the very best of us, what we want to be, what we aspire to be in principle and in character.
Fantastic. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, thanks so much for squeezing in with us on a very busy day for you, I know. Thanks for joining us on Super Tuesday.
Thanks, Boyd.
All right, that's Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. And again, so many things going on a Super Tuesday. And as the Lieutenant Governor said, make sure you get out and vote, be part of that caucus process. There's nothing better than gathering with your neighbors, people in your area, and talking about things that matter. And how we do that actually matters. And that's actually what we're going to get to in hour number 2 of the show. I am so excited to have Sam Daly Harris joining us for a crucial conversation about how do we advocate for things that matter? How do we make a difference? It's up to all of us. How we do it actually matters, and it does make a difference. Stick around. We'll be right back after top of the hour news. More Inside Sources coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bonas. KSL's top story this hour. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has acquired the temple in Kirtland, Ohio, along with some other historic sites, manuscripts, and artifacts that had belonged to the Community of Christ. A church news release says discussions leading to the agreement announced today have been going on since 2021. The Community of Christ, once called the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, says the transaction will give it greater capacity to pursue its mission priorities around the world. The Kirtland Temple was the first built by Latter-day Saints at a time when its members had to make significant sacrifices to support the work. The agreement also includes some historic buildings in Nauvoo, Illinois, and there's also a document with the title Characters that may contain a sample of the inscriptions from the gold plates that members of both churches believe were the source of the Book of Mormon. The value of the transactions at $192.5 million. Voters going to the polls in every time zone in the continental United States on this Super Tuesday, from Alaska to California to Colorado, stretching into the Midwest with Minnesota, and then the Southeast, where many eyes will be on North Carolina, which is a likely swing state.
You have a voice because if we didn't have a voice, they wouldn't be trying to suppress our votes. So get out and please vote.
That's a North Carolina voter. That state also holding primaries for the governor's race. The polls there close at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time,
And stay with KSL News Radio for continuing coverage of Super Tuesday across the country, starting at 5 o'clock. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average sharply down today, down 404 points right now. The NASDAQ is down 267 points. And our KSL weather, we've got some clouds going ahead and possibly a chance for rain coming up on Wednesday. KSL News Time 2:02.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Healthcare with human kindness is here. It's at Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Together, we have a common purpose, partnering with you in health and healing using powerful medicine, powerful technology, and the greatest power of all, human kindness. You'll know it when you see it, because human kindness is in every care site and in every caregiver. Common Spirit Health. Hello, human kindness.
This is what you've been waiting for. Well, I know some of you have. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and we don't usually experience a slow season, but when we do, it's this time of year when the weather's transitioning from winter to summer. You see, when the weather's mild, HVAC demand slows, but we still need calls for our technicians, and that's why we run our free furnace sale. Here's how it works. When you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it, about $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services by March 31st to schedule a free estimate with one of our HVAC supervisors. They'll explain all your options and exactly how much you can save on a new furnace and air conditioner. Again, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it, about $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate, 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
The life of a small business owner. Keeping the lights on, calling all the shots. And then there's workplace accidents. 500-degree ovens, rusty nails. Danger lurks around every corner. Workplace accidents can happen, but there is an easy way to keep your employees covered. Talk to your agent about workers' comp coverage from PI, or go to piinsurance.com and get a quote. Safety first, then PI Insurance. Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
The vehicle fire that we had northbound I-15 in Spanish Fork has been cleared. We are back to a quiet commute with no problems on the Valley freeways and main secondaries. The UACPA supports certified public accountants in Utah through ongoing professional education and leadership development. Find a CPA that works for you, uacpa.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our KSL weather, cloudy skies with a chance of showers today and tomorrow. Rain and snow will be more likely on Thursday, but even then we won't see a lot of it. Right now, 45 degrees, mostly cloudy. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Well, of course, the headlines today are all focused on presidential contests and local races, things that are happening at caucus meetings, a lot of the things that we think about when we think about democracy in America. But we're going to get past the headlines because that's what we do on this show. We want to get underneath the headlines, and no one better to do that with than Sam Daly Harris. Sam is an American activist and an author. He's the founder of Results, has been a hunger eradication advocate, a democracy activist for years. He's also the author of Reclaiming Our Democracy. I think that's such an important framing for today. And Sam, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here.
And great to have you in the state of Utah. And you got a busy schedule here. We'll get to some of the things you're going to be doing where people can come and hear and participate. But let's just start at the baseline, because I love the framing of the need to reclaim democracy. What's the baseline for that?
Well, the thing is getting involved. And the main idea is in the book is transformational advocacy. And I make the distinction between transactional advocacy, sign the petition, transaction complete, and the less known but more powerful transformational advocacy, where you're trained, encouraged, and then succeed at doing things as an advocate you never thought you could do, like meet with a member of Congress and bring them on board to your issue. And when you do those things that you thought you couldn't do, you see yourself in a new light. You see yourself as a community leader. And a lot of times we think, well, vote, right? That's my job, vote. Yeah, it is. But you don't need to take a nap for 2 years or 4 years.
That's right.
You can stay involved, and you don't have to stay involved in a angry, negative way. You can stay involved and make a difference.
Yeah, and this is important. I want to unpack this just a little bit more because we talk about this a lot on this show, that the transaction is not enough. It's not enough to just show up and vote. It's not just enough to yell and scream. It's not just enough to post something on your social media. It's about transformation. And transformation comes through those relationships. And that's the only place that advocacy can happen. Lincoln always talked about it in the context of you can't persuade anyone unless they're your friend. You have to have a relationship, not just a transaction.
Yeah. Well, there's this great story in the book with a volunteer. She's now on staff, but Ellie Sparks with the group Citizens Climate Lobby. And she said, I joined CCL suffering from what she called climate trauma. I would read Bill McKibben's book, Earth, and I would weep at home and I would weep at work. And then she joined CCL, and 18 months later, she's leading a workshop on building relationships with members of Congress and editorial writers. You would know something about both. And she said, our executive director says, we are betting the farm on relationships. Now go get a relationship with your member of Congress and your editorial writer. She's a little flummoxed. Well, how do you do that? And she gets into this long, amazing story about how she does that. But at the end, I want to read the last thing that she says in her presentation. She said, sorry, it's right here. During our conference, I met with 20 congressional offices. I met with many folks whose view of the world was very different than mine. Going into their office was hard. I had to let go of a lot of emotional baggage. I could no longer judge them or hold hostility in my heart toward them. I had to let go of my fear of climate change and my fear that they wouldn't listen to me. I had to center myself in love. Releasing in fear and centering in love, this is sacred and profound work. End of quote. Well, how many think of political advocacy as sacred and profound?
Yeah.
Well, it's available if you connect with an organization that can train you and that you open yourself up to.
Yeah, it is sacred ground. I as a staffer on Capitol Hill, those were some of the most important moments of all. Was when someone who felt something deeply came into the office, and whether we agreed with them or not. In fact, some of those that I disagreed with very much on a policy issue were some of the most sacred meetings that take place in those sacred halls there in Congress because they're done in the right way. And again, it's that focus on relationship. And it doesn't matter whether it's climate change or energy policy or healthcare or eradicating hunger, whatever it might be, it applies to all of those things.
Yeah. Let me tell you what. When I'm coaching a group that's meeting with a member of Congress who opposes their bill, I have them ask 3 questions. Question number 1, we know you don't support this bill. What would it take to change your mind? Now, I tell them, you're looking for assignments. So, number 1, what would it take to change your mind? Number 2, could you say more about that?
Yeah.
Number 3, why do you think that is? And so the assignment thing, if they say, well, if you could get the chambers of commerce on board, well, go get the chambers of commerce on board. And then if they say, well, but if you could get the mayors, go get the mayors on board so that there's this listening to what they need to make the change.
Yeah. And there's something within that, Sam, that I really love, because what you're really telling people who are going to advocate to do is not talk, but to listen, to ask questions, and then to ask the most important thing, the follow-up question of tell me more about that, because that's where you'll actually find out where there is possibility for compromise or change or influence.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's there's this quote I love from Apollo astronaut Rusty Schweikert, who said, "We aren't passengers on Spaceship Earth. We're the crew." Well, are we?
Yeah.
If we are, how does crew operate? They certainly vote or go to the caucuses tonight, and they vote in November. But is that it? Do they, does crew
That's not mission accomplished
Exactly,
moment. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think it's an availability to all of us.
Yeah. And isn't advocacy also, this is one of the other things I took away from the book is that you have to stay radically curious about why does that member of Congress think that way? Or why does this person have this position? Because when you start thinking that way, you actually might find yourself finding a better solution.
Absolutely. You just have to keep listening. And I'm so confronted by people who feel cynicism and hopelessness and whatever. And there's this quote from Alex Steffen, who said, cynicism is obedience. Well, if I'm cynical, I'm kind of obedient to the way things are because I'm not going to do anything. If I don't think anything makes any difference, I'm cynical about having any impact.
Yeah.
And so that whole cynicism is obedience, hopefully is enough to get a few people off the couch and get engaged.
That's right. Off the couch and into caucus meeting tonight is the name of the game today for sure. If you're just joining us, we're so excited to have Sam Daly Harris with us in studio today here on Inside Sources. And what a perfect day to have you in studio on Super Tuesday. Just a couple things for people to keep in mind. So Sam's actually going to give a speech on his book, Reclaiming Our Democracy. It's free. It's open to the public. It's on Thursday, March the 7th, 6 p.m. at the Salt Lake City Main Library. So that's 210 East 400 South. And so Thursday, March the 7th, just coming up. So you can go to caucus night tonight. You can use all of your skills. You can engage with your neighbors in the process. And then you can come back on Thursday and pick up some new skills and some new insight that I think will be transformational for you, not just transactional, in terms of how we advocate, how we come together, how we actually solve problems and move our community and the country forward. So again, this Thursday, 6 p.m. at the Salt Lake City Main Library, Sam Harris will be there talking about his book, Reclaiming Our Democracy. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but as Einstein always said, he wasn't any smarter. He was just willing to stay with the question a little bit longer. We're going to stay with the question of reclaiming our democracy a little longer with Sam Daly Harris coming up next. Stick around.
Think again on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to GAWon'tWait.com.
The Cougars are fighting for their best chance in the Big Dance.
BYU's displayed its resiliency throughout this campaign.
The Big 12 tournament is days away, and then it's the NCAA tournament. This Wednesday, it's BYU, Iowa State. Pregame is at 6 and tip-off at 7 on Utah's legacy home for the Cougars. KSL News Radio.
I'm Jason Walton, candidate for U.S. Senate. I'm recording from the Tucson sector of our southern border, and nobody's here. Our government should defend our territory. But President Biden, Mitch McConnell, and career politicians are funding war in other countries while the cartels are waging unchecked war here on American soil. I'm standing up to build the wall, end catch and release, and secure the border. Stand with me. I'm Jason Walton, and I approve this message.
Paid for by friends of Jason Walton for Senate.
There are products that offer up to a 20% upfront bonus just for opening an account and up to 12% per year for retirement income. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I've heard from other advisors saying this is too good to be true. No, it's not. We are one of the few who can offer products like these because we're independent. We're not registered with a broker-dealer who tells us what we have to sell, and we don't have to answer to a board of directors who prioritize shareholders over clients. So, is an upfront bonus up to 20% and 12% per year growth for income too good to be true? For most advisors, yes, but not Trajan Wealth. The fact that many of our clients come from other financial advisors is a testament to our value. Experience the Trajan Wealth difference for yourself. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
How much is your health worth? I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I thought about it a few years ago before I lost the weight with Soda Weight Loss. And I thought, man, if I just lose some weight, that would help with so many other things. Because my doctor had talked to me about how instead of taking a pill for cholesterol and everything else, why not try to lose weight? Well, I did. I finally did with Soda Weight Loss. They made it easy to lose weight and to address my health issues. I feel so much better. I feel healthier, and I can do so much more. And I'm not the only one. Here, for example, this is John.
Well, my diabetes A1C was 5.89, 6 point something. And when I went back, I was at 4.9. Joint mobility is so much better.
There is no part of your health that's not going to improve when you lose weight. Soda will get you there. And here's the best part, keep you there for the rest of your life. Go to sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is state of the art.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has acquired the temple in Kirtland, Ohio, along with some other historic sites, manuscripts, and artifacts that had belonged to the Missouri-based Community of Christ. Second, Senator Kyrsten Sinema says she will not run for re-election. She was elected as a Democrat but has since become an independent. Third, it's Super Tuesday with Utah and 14 other states holding primaries or caucuses in the presidential race. Right now, 45 degrees, mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Get deeper insights on the news from Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today. As always, I am Boyd Matheson, and we're staying with the question a little bit longer, staying with our guest Sam Daly Harris a little bit longer. The topic is Reclaiming Our Democracy, which is the title of Sam's book. He's here in the state of Utah, and on a day like today when we talk about the transactional component of showing up at a caucus meeting or casting a vote, Sam is really pointing us to the higher ground of common ground, which comes through relationships. And Sam, I want to pick that up because often we think about advocacy and we think about kind of the traditional things. And we were talking before the break. You mentioned kind of the cynicism of, can't fight City Hall, can't make a difference. Talk to us about some of the principles within your book that help people get on that path to say, you know what, I can do this.
I urge people to look for three things to see if an organization is committed to delivering transformational advocacy. One is recruitment and community building. Are they bringing people in? I don't mean to build an e-blast list, but real people talking to real people, forming them into chapters. That's the recruitment part. And the community building is like a monthly whole of organization webinar with guest speakers, Q&A, inspiration. So that's one. Two, training. How do you get the meeting? How do you plan for the meeting? How do you write a letter to the editor? Are they improving your skills? Three, encouraging breakthroughs. There's a drawing in the book where a small circle is labeled your comfort zone, and next to it is a much larger circle labeled where the magic happens. Well, is this an organization? I don't mean kicks you out of your comfort zone, but encourages you out of your comfort zone to do those things. So it's recruitment and community building, training, and encouraging breakthroughs.
Yeah, and those breakthroughs happen in those phases. It isn't just about building an email list or ability to blast things out, because those are more transactions, right? We all have plenty of emails. We all have plenty of things pop up on our social media feed. That's not changing anybody's mind.
That's right. And if I could give you just a little evidence of that, there was a Congressional Management Foundation survey. They surveyed advocacy professionals, and they asked them, what was your main method or tactic. 79% said a form email was their primary tactic. 79%, but only 3% of congressional staff said that made a very big difference.
Yeah.
On the other side, in a similar study by them, 94% of congressional staff said an in-person issue meeting with constituents made some or a lot of difference. So it's a big difference, 3% to 94%.
Yeah, makes all the difference in the world having those connections. And as you were talking, Sam, it just kind of flashed back to me that this idea of gathering, of getting together, whether it's informal, whether it's a Zoom meeting, but somehow getting people together. I know you've been at some of the Rotary clubs here in the state. I was with the Rotary here in Salt Lake last week, and to me, that is the magic of America. It's that free association. Tocqueville talked about it, about this is what makes America amazing and extraordinary, is the free association, not government mandate, not rule, but people freely coming together to advocate and talk about things that matter.
Well, one of the things I shared at the Rotary Club this afternoon was my story of self. What happened in your life and what decisions did you make that got you to this commitment? Let me see if I could do the shortest version. I have degrees in music. And the death of a friend around high school and the assassination of Robert Kennedy around college graduation got me asking questions of why am I here? What am I here to do? I went to a presentation on ending world hunger 9 years later thinking it's inevitable, there are no solutions. But I realized early on that, there's no mystery to growing food, clean water. So I got involved in a big way. And in 1978 and 79, I spoke to 7,000 high school students, classroom by classroom, on ending world hunger. And before I went into the first one, I read quotes from the National Academy of Sciences and others calling for the political will to end hunger. So I asked 7,000 students, what's the name of your member of Congress? I don't want to know if you wrote him. I don't want to know if you met him. Just the name. Only 200, fewer than 3% could answer. 6,800, over 97% could not tell me the name of their member of Congress. And results started out of this gap between the calls for the political will to end hunger and the lack of basic information on who represented us in Washington on the other hand. There was a column in the Boston Globe last year, you can name the Three Stooges. Can you name your three members of Congress?
Yeah.
Well, sadly, you can, for the younger people, you can name 3 Taylor Swift albums. Can you name your 3 members of Congress? Sadly, I'm not sure many people can do that.
Yeah, and you got to lean in. You got to have that connective tissue to make all of that. We often talk about it in the context of community and culture lead, and the political will, the politicians follow. And that's always been the case in this country. And I think it's a big part of your work is proving that model out, that it's community, it's culture, it's individuals coming together, and then the political will magically comes about because they'll follow where the people are leading.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we started advocating on child survival in 1984, to be precise, the UN Children's Fund, UNICEF, was reporting 40,000 child deaths a day around the world from preventable things, measles coupled with malnutrition. Results volunteers have lobbied every year on those kinds of things. The latest number from UNICEF is a drop from 40,000 a day to 13,800 a day. It's still too high, but it's a 66% decline. And citizens help lead on that to help educate their members of Congress about the difference it could make to address those kinds of issues.
Yeah, this is a crucial conversation on a crucial Super Tuesday. This is where it really matters. Don't get swept up or caught up in the big headlines of just presidential politics. It's what's happening in your neighborhood tonight at caucus meeting, what's happening in your community tomorrow. That will really make a difference. So pleased again to have Sam Daly Harris with us. Again, his book, you got to pick that up as well, Reclaiming Our Democracy. And as I mentioned before, Sam's going to be speaking on Reclaiming Our Democracy. It's free. It's open to the public, so it has all the right things there. Thursday, March the 7th, 6 p.m. at the Salt Lake City Main Library, downtown Salt Lake City. Again, Thursday, March the 7th, 6 p.m. And as we round things out, Sam, just give us one final thought. In all the work that you've done, as you've seen this practical, tactical, hands-on relationship advocacy, what's the one thing you wish we were thinking differently or doing differently in this country?
Well, oversimplified, I wish the nonprofit groups were creating and delivering transformational advocacy.
Yeah.
And I wish the citizens could more easily find groups like Results and Citizens Climate Lobby and others that do deliver. I'm going to leave you with this quote. I was talking with the head of organizing with a very large group. You would know them very well. He said, "We can't let our volunteers write letters to the editor or op-eds because they'll get it wrong and misrepresent the organization." Sadly, protecting their brand is what too many large nonprofits are about, rather than training and empowering their members.
Yeah.
And we need to move from protecting our brand to training and empowering our members.
Oh, that is so important. That is a perfect thought to end on, because that's actually what the framers of the Constitution were doing, framing it so that we, the people, could create a more perfect union. Sam Daly Harris, thank you so much for being in state and in studio today. Best of luck to you as you travel the state of Utah. And again, a final reminder that he'll be speaking March the 7th, 6 p.m. at the Salt Lake City Main Library on reclaiming democracy. That's a crucial conversation for all of us to lean into. And just by way of framing the rest of your day today, KSL News Radio's got you covered all day on Super Tuesday. We'll continue here on Inside Sources until 3 o'clock. Jeff Kaplan will step in and get you home on the drive time. Make sure you get to caucus meeting safe and smart. That's Jeff's job. Then we want you at your caucus meetings, engage, form relationships, cast your vote, and then tune in starting at 7 p.m. Jeff Kaplan and I and Mara Carabella will break down Super Tuesday for you. We'll do that from 7 to 9 or beyond, whatever it takes here on KSL News Radio. We will continue to keep you covered there as well. All right, we'll step aside for some bottom-of-the-hour news. More Inside Sources coming up next on KSL News Radio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
It's 2:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Eric Cabrera. KSL's top local story this hour. The legislator has signed off on a program which would give up to $20,000 bonuses to the top 25% of Utah's performing teachers.
This is entirely paid for by the state legislature through an account that's called the Education Stabilization Fund. It's state income tax dollars.
The bill's sponsor, Senator Lincoln Fillmore, tells David Dujanovic this is meant to entice teachers to perform well and stay in their chosen profession because they can earn more. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Dodge Charger went out of production late last year, but now the company has revealed an electrified successor to the iconic muscle car. ABC's Mike Dabrowski has more.
Dodge has pulled the wraps off the Charger Daytona.
It kind of throws back to like a 70s kind of Charger.
EV Pulse editor-in-chief Chad Kirshner says the electric Charger comes in 2- and 4-door configurations. The company says it plans to add 2 6-cylinder gasoline engines to the lineup, but down the line.
The gas car is the last of the regular ones to come to market. It's not coming until next year.
In the meantime, the electric Charger is built in Canada with batteries sourced from Samsung, meaning it won't immediately qualify for the federal EV tax credit. Mike Dabrowski, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow closed down 404 points. The NASDAQ ended the day down 267 points. All right, coming up, cloudy skies stick around today. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 2:31.
We
hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now, during Staples Print Big Sale, get $20 off your print purchase of $100 or more, $50 off your print purchase of $200 or more, and $100 off your print purchase of $300 or more. So the more you print at Staples, the more you save. To demonstrate, print at Staples, you save. But if you print at Staples, you save. See how that works? Staples Print Big Sale. Print more, save more. Up to $100. Ends 4/6. Visit staples.com/print for details.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We had a stalled vehicle on the exit ramp from southbound I-15 at University Parkway in Orem just seconds ago. That truck has literally just pulled away, and that right lane is now open to traffic. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cloudy skies with a chance of showers today and tomorrow. Rain and snow will be likely on Thursday, but we won't see a lot. Right now it's cloudy and 46 degrees. I'm Eric Cabrera from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It is Super Tuesday, so of course there's a lot of political news happening, a lot of headlines, a lot of flash and sizzle, and even a little bit of clickbait. But we want to take you beyond that into a different kind of discussion that I'm betting you weren't thinking about this morning, but I think is really important for perspective, and historic perspective in particular, especially as it relates to the first family and to the President of the United States. We often talk about it in the context that when problems arise, it's always good to look to the past for some good perspective and analysis. But when it comes to the first family, that's a pretty small gene pool in terms of how do you deal with those challenges that come up with the commander-in-chief. First ladies, of course, have had incredible influence throughout the course of our nation's history. We'll have a first gentleman at some point in the program soon, I'm sure. The question is that role of first spouse. How far does that go in terms of support? When do you need to intervene? And someone who had a historic look at some rarity that I think is important perspective. Gail Hodges-Burt was social secretary to President Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan from 1983 to 1985, had a brilliant piece in the New York Times talking about what would Nancy Reagan do, looking at some of the challenges that Jill Biden, First Lady of the country, is now grappling with as well. And Gail, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's lovely to be here.
So as you've looked at this, clearly this has tugged and pulled at you a bit, watching kind of the mental gymnastics that Jill Biden has had to go through. Give us some historic context for that as it relates. There are different situations for sure between the Reagans and the Bidens, but there are some things that are common in all of that as well.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I find that the First Lady is the first defender of her husband and of his policies and what he's trying to accomplish. I know from observing Mrs. Reagan, uppermost in her mind was always allowing the system to accomplish what she knew her husband, the direction that she knew her husband wanted to go in, to push forward in. And she would try to pave the way as best she could. And I think any wife who believes in her spouse, any husband who believes in his spouse would be the same sort of, have the same support system to help that person accomplish what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I love the way you framed it in your piece, that the difference between promoting your spouse's political ambitions and protecting their legacy is a real difficult thing. And you framed that in the context of what Nancy Reagan had to do, kind of her protective. She was known for being fiercely loyal and very protective, but she did that in a way, as you said, that allowed the institution to kind of run some of those things as well.
Yes, look, it's a tightrope, ambition versus a legacy. But I do believe that at this very moment, Jill Biden, who I'm a great admirer of, I think she's been a wonderful First Lady. She is the first Lady to hold down a full-time job while holding down a full-time job. I think that right now, staring her in the face is that her husband is starting to stumble. And can she help him? Of course she's helping him and making sure that he doesn't stumble. But when there's a choice about going forward, should they step back and look at it? Should they reconsider? And I cite Nancy Pelosi, who clearly at age 81 decided that it was time for her to step back. It's time, aging is an unforgiving process, but it's something we all go through. And at what point do we have to call it? And I think having a reliable partner to help you make that decision is critical.
Yeah, so important, and I think it's something we don't often appreciate. Those who, as one of my friends said, those who have to age on the stage, when you have to age in front of the world and in front of the media, who are going to pick and poke at every little thing, often for political purposes, that it adds a level of difficulty or a degree of difficulty in terms of making sure you keep that legacy in place, that you still accomplish what needs to be done. You also mentioned in your piece, and I think this is important as well, as the Reagans went through that process, of course, President Reagan didn't disclose his Alzheimer's disease until some 6 years after he'd left the White House. Give us some sense in terms of kind of that process, and again, that fierce loyalty on one hand, preserving the legacy, and then doing the thing that's in the best interest of the country?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, the two situations are not completely comparable. But I think that when age started to catch up with Ronald Reagan, first of all, he was one of the fittest presidents I've ever known. He worked out constantly. He was chopping wood all the time. He was extremely fit, but he had been shot, and he also had a run-in with cancer in his 5th year of being president. And, these things take a toll. And they clearly took a toll on him, not to the degree that I believe age is taking a toll on Joe Biden. And I worry that Joe Biden will not be able to complete another 4 years. And I think our country is at such a critical moment that if we don't have a leader that can bring us through a moment when we're questioning ourselves, we're questioning everything. Are we going to be on the world stage? Are we not going to be on the world stage? I mean, we're really the extremes of both parties are quite vocal, and they're pulling the parties to the extreme side. And to have a strong, firm voice in the middle, to me, is what we need. And I say that as a Republican. And we didn't get it in our nominee. And that's when I decided to write the piece.
Yeah. It is a fascinating. I'm sorry. Yeah. It is such a great piece. You need to check this out at the New York Times today. And again, it's how Nancy Reagan's legacy might guide First Lady Jill Biden. So what would Nancy Reagan do? Again, Gail Hodges-Burt for the New York Times today. And Gail, this is just such fabulous perspective. And we really appreciate you on a Super Tuesday, on a busy day, for spending time with us to give us a different perspective. So important.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right. Great perspective there from Gail Hodges-Burt. She was the social secretary to President Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan from 1983 to 85. And accomplished a host of other things. She is the chairman emeritus of the American Academy in Berlin, and is incredibly accomplished and great perspective there that we often don't think about or talk about, but we're talking about it on a Super Tuesday. We'll step aside for one last break. Final thoughts coming up next on Inside Sources.
Held over due to popular demand. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. Be advised, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to save 40 to 80% on a hot tub and swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Utah State Fair Park. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Utah State Fair Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Utah State Fair Park. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Utah State Fair Park. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Utah State Fair Park. Friday, noon to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Utah State Fair Park. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Hey, it happened again last night. I was out. A couple of people come up to me and said, we're in, we're doing it. And they're part of Soda Weight Loss. And they were already so excited because the weight is dropping, the pounds and inches are melting away, and they're seeing the difference in their lives. It's my favorite part of being on this Soda Weight Loss journey. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art weight loss because it is state-of-the-art. I lost 37 pounds in less than 90 days, and I'm over 2 years into my maintenance program, and I feel great, and I'm exactly where I want to be when it comes to my weight and my health, and you can do it too, and it's my favorite thing when people come up and say, I did it. I lost 40 pounds. I lost 35 pounds. I lost 25 pounds. I lost 65 pounds. It just happens because it works, because it's based on science. As I always say, when it comes to your SOTA weight loss journey, there's no time to lose. There's only time to win. It's SOTA weight loss, state-of-the-art weight loss, because it is. SOTAweightloss.com. Check it out.
Rick at loansbyrick.com has some important information for anyone in Utah and Idaho who's thinking of buying a house. Do it now. Don't wait until summer, because home prices in those two states will likely increase by 10 to 20% due to in-migration from California and other states. That means a house that costs $400,000 right now will go up by 40 to 80 grand with multiple offers. Interest rates may drop later in the year, possibly to the 6% range, but the increased cost of the home will mean that your monthly payments will go up by a lot. So start looking and buy now. Refinance when the interest rates go down. Waiting to buy your home will only hurt you in the long run. For more details and buying strategies, call Rick at loansbyrick.com right now. 801-809-SAVE. Rick can evaluate your situation and get you on the path to buying a home today. 801-809-SAVE or click loansbyrick.com.
Rick Kirschenbaum, NMLS 241179 and Vintage Lending, NMLS 287106 are equal housing lenders. Some restrictions apply.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Are you looking to get a COVID-19 booster to stay healthy this cold and flu season? If you join the Beehive study, you'll have the chance to receive up to $550 for getting a booster and completing weekly COVID tests and brief surveys about your health. Don't want to get a COVID-19 booster? That's okay too. You can still join the Beehive study and receive up to $550 for completing the weekly COVID tests and surveys. Help advance research at the University of Utah while taking care of yourself this season. Call 801-203-0320 or email beehivestudy@utah.edu to learn more. You can also visit the study website at beehivestudy.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
See the high-flying dunks, show-stopping blocks, and crowd-silencing threes at Delta Center this season. With an action-packed schedule, it's easy to get to a Jazz game. Pick out an unmissable matchup or just a tip-off time that works for you. It's time to put on your Jazz gear and head to the game. Come with a friend, a loved one, or as a group. See all available tickets and options at utahjazz.com or call or text 801-355-DUNK.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Salt Lake City will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 801-263-7777. That's 801-263-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
The life of a small business owner. Keeping the lights on, calling all the shots. And then there's workplace accidents. 500-degree ovens, rusty nails. Danger lurks around every corner. Workplace accidents can happen. But there is an easy way to keep your employees covered. Talk to your agent about workers' comp coverage from Pi, or go to piinsurance.com and get a quote. Safety first, then Pi Insurance. Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to policy terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
A fiduciary has the regulatory obligation to put your best interest first. Trajan Wealth is a financial fiduciary for your investments. With Trajan Wealth, the more you make, the more we make. Our interests are aligned. Most other financial advisors are brokers held to a lesser standard and are paid an upfront commission to sell you something. Call Trajan Wealth
801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Eric Cabrera. First, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has acquired the temple in Kirtland, Ohio, along with some other historic sites, manuscripts, and artifacts that belong to the community of Christ. Second, Senator Kristen Sinema says she will not run for re-election. She was elected as a Democrat, but has since become an independent. And third, it's Super Tuesday, with Utah and 14 other states holding primaries or caucuses in the presidential race. Right now, it's cloudy and 46 in Salt Lake City. Back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Hear elevated conversation on crucial issues. Boyd Matheson on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today. As always, I am Boyd Matheson, and as we round out the show today on Super Tuesday, this is not the beginning of the end, just the end of the beginning. Jeff Kaplan, of course, will pick you up here at 3 o'clock and get you driving home safe and smart. That's Jeff's job. And then coming up later today at 7 o'clock, we're going to do some breakdown of everything Super Tuesday, from what's happening here in the state of Utah to what's happening nationally. You just heard Eric mention that Kirsten Sinema has announced that she won't seek re-election for the United States Senate in the state of Arizona. That's big political news today as well. We'll watch all of the things that are happening on the presidential front. And so, as always, KSL News Radio has you covered, especially when it comes to what's happening on the political scene. But most important today is that you've got to show up. It's part of the job. It's part of the duty and part of what the framers laid out for us. And we have to remember that the Constitution is for we the people, and it's really just a framework. It's a bulwark from which we the people are tasked with forming a more perfect union. It's not the government's job. It's not the state's job. It's our job to form a more perfect union. Nobody else gets to do that. Nobody else can do that. If you missed earlier in the program today, we were really pleased to have in studio with us Sam Daly-Harris talking about that very thing of how do you advocate? How do you influence? How do you persuade? How do you do that in a more meaningful way? And it starts by knowing your neighbor and then engaging with your neighbor. And that's the opportunity that everybody has to go to caucus night tonight. So go. It's one night out of very many. You can make time. There's a million different ways you can participate. So participate. I loved yesterday, we had Diane Lewis on, who's the chair of the Democratic Party here in the state of Utah. And as she started to describe what she hopes comes out of the caucus meetings for the Democrats tonight, is that they get to know each other as neighbors and friends. Because if you do not know those other people in your life and around your life as neighbors and friends, you can't solve big problems. You can't even solve small problems. And so I love that the chair of the Democratic Party said that's where we start. We start with forming friendships and relationships. That was also one of the things that Sam Daly-Harris shared with us today, is you can't do any of this as a transaction. I think it has been one of the problems and detriments to our politics in the country and the governing in this country, always keep those two things separate, by the way, is that it's all become transactions. There's very few that are developing real relationships in our nation's capital and even right here at home. Fewer and fewer people know their neighbors. Fewer and fewer people can connect with people in their community. We get more and more isolated in our social media bubbles, telling us that we're so connected because we have so many friends or so many likes or hits or clicks on the things that we post on our social media feed. But all of those are transactions. Those are not relations or relationships. And so that's the work of a constitutional republic, is within the context of relationships. That the way we form a more perfect union is to know each other, to respect each other, to listen to each other. And we can have disagreements, and we can have big roiling debates over good public policy or bad public policy or how funds should or shouldn't be spent. That's a good thing. That's a big part of who we are in this country. And then we move on. But when all we're doing is transactions, everything's about the next transaction. And you can have your social media meltdown. You can use all your pejoratives. You can spew all your talking points. And it might make you feel good for a minute, but it's not going to advance the ball. I think one of the biggest threats to a constitutional republic is motion, because we can get so caught in the motion of politics, which usually leads to commotion, by the way. It prevents us from forward movement. And the thing that matters for our current freedom and for the future of freedom is forward movement. You can't hunker down. You can't just shout across the divide. You can't scream into the void. You actually have to have relationships to solve problems. Abraham Lincoln got it right. Said if you want to persuade, you have to have a friend. You have to have a friendship with someone if you're ever going to influence them. You at least have to have an element of respect and knowledge and understanding, and you at least have to have the curiosity to wonder. I wonder why she thinks that's good policy, or I wonder why he believes that's a good direction for our community, or I wonder why she thinks that's a good investment that will be helpful to our children or grandchildren. If we cannot ask the why questions, we're never going to get around to the governing part of how we do that. And so, yes, we have to stay radically curious. Yes, we have to ask better questions. Yes, we have to listen more. And we have to show up so we can do all of those things, because none of those things happen in a vacuum. And I would suggest that very few of those things happen on social media. It's a very transactional place. The algorithms are all designed to tally and then to drive more transactions. And most of those transactions come in the form of likes and clicks and shares and all of those things from social media. And then the algorithms eat that up and spew it back out and give you more of what you've already got. So why not get different? Why not get something better? That's what this grand experiment in our constitutional republic is all about. And so tonight is your night to engage in that process. And whether you caucus with the Democrats